Hey, did you guys see this morning? SNK Global announced on their Twitter feed about as unceremoniously as you could ever announce something as major as a new console, that they are in fact doing a new console. So it seems like a weird way to slide that in, but it's huge news nonetheless. Welcome back to Unqualified Critics. So today at 4:51 a.m. Eastern, SNK Global posted this. A brand new console is coming from SNK in 2021, a system to bridge the needs between passionate fans and console gaming enthusiasts. I'm not completely sure what to make of that. They also give us an image who is the best player with clearly, some kind of stylized globe and a Wi-Fi networking logo. So there's going to be online play. That makes sense. I don't know what it means to bridge the gap between passionate fans and console gaming enthusiasts. I guess I thought those were mostly the same people. I mean, if you were fans of the MVS, you're probably also a fan of the AES. That was the old school arcade and home console platform, respectively. They were basically the same platform with some minor differences. We're talking about the old Neo Geo games. So those people would have been mostly one and the same. I wonder if by console gaming enthusiasts they mean like modern gaming enthusiasts, maybe people who play modern consoles and trying to reach them. SNK does still make games. They've got a new King of Fighters. I don't know. This is confusing. It's kind of difficult to unpack. What I don't think is happening is I don't think they're going to compete with modern consoles. It just costs too much money. I don't know why they would. I mean, SNK is a big company to you or my standards for sure. They've got a lot of money. They've kind of amusingly, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia bought a bunch of their shares and is now their biggest shareholder. Random bit of trivia that seems to get mentioned everywhere now whenever anyone talks about SNK. But they got money behind them, there's no question. But creating a new console is a tremendous endeavor. It takes tons of money, it takes tons of time, it takes tons of upfront resource. And companies like Microsoft and Sony can do that because they know we've got a base, and Nintendo, we've got a base of buyers and we know what this looks like, and we'll spend this many billions developing the console and then we'll sell them for this, and we think we can sell 80 million units over 7 years or whatever. But for something totally new like this and pretty niche, I mean, this whole channel that you're watching is niche. We talk about retro and arcade gaming. We covered the Neo Geo MVSX. I thought that was a super cool product, but it is niche. These are not broad products that, you know, Johnny school kid is going to go buy. So I don't think we're talking about a new Xbox, but from SNK. I don't think that's what we're looking at. An online connected console that plays the old games. Yeah, I could see that. But they just did the MVSX. Now, the MVSX wasn't done by SNK. It was done by a third party who built the product and licensed it with approval from SNK. So they were related, but it wasn't actually built and distributed by SNK. So if they're doing this one first party, why wouldn't they have connected the two? I mean, why wasn't the MVSX then online play or have leaderboards or whatever this thing is going to have that's going to be online that's going to tell us who is the best player? Seems like a mistake to just have the MVSX launch and have us not be a part of it. I mean, imagine if there was an AESX that they did that was the MVS but console form with a really great joystick controller that was just like the old school AES. And imagine if they were all online connected for competitive play or co-op in the case of like a Metal Slug, but certainly competitive play for fighting games, leaderboards and all of that. And it didn't matter if you were on the AES or MVSX, the new ones. That would be super badass. That would be amazing. I don't think that's what this is. I reached out to my contact at Unico that did the MVSX. I'm waiting to hear back. If I do hear back, I'll let you guys know. But I've asked him, hey, is your company behind this? And I'm guessing it's not, but it could be. But if these two were somehow related, that would be awesome. But again, I'm assuming that they're not because the MVSX had no Wi-Fi component. It only had a USB connection, so you could install firmware updates, but what you can't do is get online and figure out who is the best player. So I think this looks tentatively interesting, but I also think it shows SNK doesn't have a unified strategy for how to sell new gaming systems. Because if they did, any kind of modern console would be tied in, any kind of new console would be tied in with their existing MVSX platform. Unless all that's out the window and I'm wrong, and this is a completely modern console that plays brand new games. I just really don't think that's the case. As I've said, I don't think there's gonna make sense here to spend the money to get that done. Maybe this also reflects a new iteration of MVSX. I mean, that's possible, although hard to say because this does invoke consoles directly. And if you look through the Twitter replies, a lot of questions. I was hoping that maybe SNK official would have stepped in and given some answers. I don't see any, unfortunately. So I'm obviously, like probably a lot of you, I'm interested to see what they come with here. I'll follow this as this story develops from SNK, but I'm not really optimistic. I think SNK needs an overall product strategy for getting games into people's hands. You know, who is their buyer? Is it the retro gamer? Or is it somebody new and now they're targeting modern console enthusiasts? I think they need to make that choice. And I think that there ought to be interoperability between these different units. I mean, the heritage of Neo Geo really is crossing a bridge between arcade and console in a way no one else had ever done or would do until Dreamcast all those years later from Sega. So there's a rich history there that could be mined. And I think people are still waiting for the perfect Neo Geo product. The MVSX was a good product. I recommended it for people that recognized its limitations. It was well built. It looked good. It had a good games list. But it had a major flaw with having 6 buttons instead of 4. A lot of the reviews didn't focus on that a bunch, but I think that's by far the biggest oversight they made when they built that cabinet. And I told those guys that. I think they were really close to having an excellent product, and they just weren't quite there. It made a couple of missteps. But I think that product could be improved. But is SNK going to push out a new strategy? Or is it going to continue to be starts and stops with things like the Neo Geo Gold they did years ago that I don't think did super well, but that was like a re-release of the AES, but it missed the mark a little bit. Or are they going to get it together and give us online play, and whether we want to play on console or arcade? I guess only time will tell. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoy the videos, do hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed and enable notifications to stay up to date. Remember, we cover everything home arcade. We are the #1 source for home arcade information. So stay tuned, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, consider hitting that join button to support the channel, and thanks so much for watching. Dripping lights paint the sky.